Hey, what's happening? Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, 3:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Anybody that watches my channel knows the earlier that it's not even 3:30. Anybody that watches my channel knows that the earlier that I come on here, the more likely it is that I feel very strongly about the subject that I'm going to talk about, because I can't wait to sit down and talk about this. I got all these thoughts and scenarios playing out in my head, and I'll get into that in a second. All right. I woke up a little before 2 a.m. this morning, and I turned on my news feed as usual. And the very first story, this is fate. This is a teaching moment for me. Maybe not. All right, the very first story was Kelli Smiley. I didn't even know this name before yesterday. I did not even know. I plead ignorance on sports. Not all sports. I love surfing. I'm not a team player. I've never been a team player, which is kind of ironic considering everything I'm lecturing about in these videos, but I am not a team player. I like to compete against myself, surfing, skiing, skateboarding. These are all the things that I've done, and I still do. I still surf. All right, anyway, I did not even know the name Matthew Stafford up until yesterday, the quarterback for the Rams. Okay, so this is all about yesterday. I saw the video. It was at a parade, for a victory parade for the LA Rams. And we all know most people probably know what happened by now. Kelli Smiley, a photographer for the NFL, taking a picture of the quarterback and his wife. She takes one step too far and falls backwards. 6 to 8 feet is the projected amount. Now, let me say this. I talked a little bit about this in yesterday's video. Also, about 18 years ago, I went to give a message to my mother. She's a mail carrier. She was on her route, and I went to give her this message. She got an important phone call, and I was waiting for her to come back down from delivering at one house, and there was a gully, a river going underneath the road, and there was a railing, and I leaned back against the railing, and I knew it went down into the river, but I didn't know how far or whatever. And I leaned against the railing, and there was nothing but a cinder block holding it up. And I just felt myself just go like this. And I remember what that felt like. It turns out, like I said, like Kelli Smiley probably didn't really perceive how far she was going to fall backwards. And she probably had this same feeling. I remember looking up at the sky. I vividly remember just watching the sky, just watching myself go backwards. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is it. I remember thinking, this is gonna hurt, and because you don't know when you're gonna stop, you don't know what you're gonna hit. And it's just this totally, you are helpless. You're there's nothing you can do, and this is gonna mess you up bad. It's like watching a train come at you and you can't do a thing about it. And turns out it was a dry riverbed. The gods were with me. My mother's always said that my father, who passed away when I was 9, watches over me. It was a dry riverbed. I just missed a big rock and a stump from a tree. It was a dry riverbed, and I landed in a pile of dry leaves. Did a backflip on the ground and bounced right back up. I still ended up going in the ambulance to the hospital because I was so shooken up. I think it was more my nerves from falling. It was about the same height, about a good 8 to 10 feet backwards. And so I have an idea, of how Miss Smiley must have felt during this, what her face must have looked like. All right. Anyway, so this news story comes out. Yeah, just this morning, I see this next news story after I went on this rampage calling Matthew Stafford a coward and all this other stuff yesterday, that Kelli Smiley she deleted all these very offensive tweets, both homophobic and racist tweets, off her Twitter account. All right, so all of a sudden I'm like, does it change my opinion of what I said yesterday? No, not at all, not in the least. Does it change my opinion of, because I didn't know either one of these people yesterday. I saw right with my own eyes Matthew Stafford's response in that brief split second. The look on his face, his eyes, we all have that gut instinct, and what that guy was feeling. It was all about him. It's like, whoop, I don't want nothing to do with this. I thought about this long and hard this morning. I thought about different. All right, let me continue on. Does it change my opinion of Matthew Stafford? No, not in the least. Does it change my opinion of Kelli Smiley? Yes, without a doubt. All right. Do I still stick by what I said yesterday? Definitely. All right. So I went through a bunch of scenarios. Like, I use empathy. You guys that watch my channel, you know I do this all the time. So I put myself in, say, Stafford's position. All right. And I thought of different levels of people, like different scenarios. Like, what if somebody needed to borrow money? Would I help them out? And they were somebody I found offensive. Say it was a neighbor that got on my nerves all the time. Or somebody that needed a ride. Somebody that I knew was racist. A Trump, like a very offensive Trump. I find Trump supporters somewhat offensive. What if it was Donald Trump himself? Would I help them? Would I lend them money? Would I give them a ride? Just if they needed a ride. Not a life or death. I don't know. No. Would I lend them money? No. Would I give them a ride? Probably not. But we're talking about a life and death situation here. That's what I consider this. Like I said, when I went through that, when I fell backwards myself, it was terrifying. And Matt is not just a Kelli Smiley, but Matthew Stafford must have made that connection and watched her. Just that terrified look. Another human being terrified. So I put myself in different scenarios this morning. Okay, now who would I help? Say it was a life or death situation. Somebody getting hit by a car. Somebody that, life and death in the road. Then this situation, when she fell backwards like that and landed, the situation was that she was totally at the mercy of the people around her. When you fall like that far and you hit the ground like that and you're terrified, you're stunned, she hurt her back. Even if she didn't hurt her back, like something with me, you're so disorientated. You really are at the total mercy of the people around you to help you, to help orientate you, to help give you aid. You're at their mercy completely. So that's the situation. We're not talking about lending money. We're not talking about giving somebody a ride. We're not talking about doing little favors for somebody you think is unsavory. Now, this is a situation, a life and death situation. It's like similar to somebody getting hit by a car in front of you. And I thought about this. What if it was somebody that I knew was racist? Would I help them? Yeah, I would. I don't think I could leave somebody I knew that was scared and hurt. And I don't want to start quoting Bible verses, but it comes to mind. I'm not really big into the Bible, but I know like there's the part about turn the other cheek, or if somebody offends you to offer them the shirt off your back, no matter what they did to you. And it's not just because it's in the Bible. I just put myself in that person's position. Okay, what if it was somebody that actually hurt me before, physically? What if it was somebody that hurt my family? What if it was somebody that hurt a child? What if it was a murderer? What if it was Jeffrey Dahmer? That's a tough one, guys. I went through all these different scenarios for the last hour or two. Would I reach out? Would I give them aid? Even, grudgingly, you could still give them aid and not agree with anything they've done. When somebody like that, I'd like to, I hate to say this and I'll probably be taking the task for this, but I think I would still help no matter what. And I think deep down it's really what you should do. If somebody is that hateful, we're not talking about people that are mentally psychotic, but if somebody is that damaged and hateful of other people, by turning around and doing this to them, I get the feeling that you're only hurting yourself when you walk away from giving somebody aid like that. to me, it would be something that would stick. It would bother me for the rest of my life that I didn't help somebody, even if it was a person that had hurt me or hurt somebody else or even maybe hurt my family. It would still bother me because I feel that I'd be taking myself to their level. So anyway, these racist tweets come out. And, does it change my mind about Matthew Stafford? No, not in the least. He was still a coward. You still see that look on his face for that split second. Like he did one of these, like, and it just reminded me of a 5-year-old kid. Just I don't want any responsibility for this. This is exactly why when people watch movies and they see an animal hurt and they see a human hurt, it's a totally different response. An animal is innocent in people's eyes. It hasn't willingly hurt people before, whereas humans are flawed and they do things to hurt other human beings. So in our mind, we render them less deserving of our aid. And when it comes down to it, like I said, this is a life and death scenario. And when somebody's hurt like that, they're totally dependent on the people around them to give them aid. And, could you imagine if it was you or somebody in your family? Even if you had, the people around you were people that hated you or that you had talked badly about. What if there was all Trump supporters all around me and I was at their mercy? What if it doesn't bother me so much, but what if it was my mother or my family that was at their mercy? I would really hope that they would put things aside and help just because it's another human being and it's the right thing to do. So I stick by my video yesterday. Matthew Stafford, a coward, pure cowardice. He just didn't want to take any he didn't want any responsibility. He did not want her life and death injury to affect him financially, to ruin his great day. And that's just the ultimate act of cowardice, man, to me. I can't think of a better word, cowardice. Does it change my view of Kelli Smiley? I know this video is going a little long. And I read these tweets, and it came to mind that some people use these racist terms or homophobic terms in ignorance. Like they don't realize. They use them like they think it's okay to use them, and they don't understand how it hurts people. And then some people use them just out of pure hatred and viciousness. And I'm not sure if there's really a difference. If pleading ignorance really gives you any excuse. I really tend to think it doesn't. You really should have compassion and empathy for other people before you call them something you're not sure what it means or if it's okay. Just a lot of different scenarios on this. All right, I could talk about this for another hour. You guys have a great Saturday. I'll be back later with another video.